Welcome to Herschy and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
A show about nothing. Two morons are talking. They both are really funny. They just go with the flow. It's the Hershey and Keegs Show.
All right, we are live. It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m.
Here we are.
It's the Hershey and Keegs Show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, as always, and please be sure to like the page, share it, subscribe, do whatever you got to do to get our names out there so I don't have to eat mozzarella sticks for dinner every night.
You like that, though.
I know, I do enjoy it. As always, want to thank Megan for our intro song.
Thank you, Megan.
For Colin Cosell for our intro, the PA announcer for the Mets. I think next week I want to be the pitcher and you could be the catcher. How about that, Mark?
I you know what's amazing is that we'll hopefully use this introduction for many years to come, and he has no idea that we made it Freudian like that.
No, exactly.
You know?
Or he did, and he realized it like an hour later, like, what the hell did I just
those
do?
two pieces of shit do to me?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, thank you, Colin Cosell.
They're tough customers there at the Mets. I have a friend who used to be the PA announcer there, and he got fired for telling a misogynistic joke.
Wow.
And he was the PA guy there. And
Well, it looks like we have something over on Colin Cosell if we want.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. So we're happy to be here. Mike Keegan, Mark Hirschman.
I'm Joe.
I don't know why I'm calling you Joe.
Joey Hirschman.
Joey Hirschman.
Silly Sally. Go ahead. That's
Silly
Sally
Sally's
over there.
here.
She's yeah.
And we're doing it again. We're here for another week. Thank God.
We made it. The lights
Yeah.
are on. We paid the bills.
Exactly.
This is good. Hi, Silly Sally.
How's it going, guys?
Great.
It's a big week, Michael.
We have a big week tonight, and in just a few minutes, we're going to have WFAN legend Steve Summers is going to be on here.
We hope.
We hope. We're going to call him. And
he's
the
confirmed,
schmoozer.
though. Yeah, this is big, though.
So we're excited about that. That's going to be in a little bit. We're gonna cover our week. Everybody have a nice weekend.
We had a nice weekend. We just heard some good news that you wanted to talk about that Sally told you about. Let's bring that up, Michael.
Sally got a new dog.
Yes,
Dun,
she
dun,
did.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's hear about this.
Yeah, what kind of dog did we get?
It's a 4-year-old golden doodle.
Wow.
So it's a standard poodle and it's actually a double doodle.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding.
Mike just made one of those in the toilet.
I know, it makes me laugh. So I think the mom is like half golden retriever, labradoodle, half standard poodle, labradoodle.
Holy shit.
And then the dad's a standard poodle. So it's like all that stuff.
Sounds like one of those dogs that are way too expensive to have rescued, Sally.
It is. I was telling Mike, I wanted this exact dog about 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I'm like, I'm going to get this dog. I love this kind of dog. So I went on the website and I put myself in a waiting list. And then my older sister, who's a dog rescuer, called me and she said, "Don't even begin to tell me that my sister's going to buy herself a dog when there's all these dogs
Right.
that
Yeah,
need
she'd
dogs."
kick you out of the family.
Yeah.
And she was right. So I took myself off the waiting list and I got, a different dog, which was great. But one of the things that I do for a living is I take care of dogs when people go on vacation. And this one client of mine, her daughter is allergic to this dog.
Well, isn't that a coincidence, huh?
Like you weren't at the house rubbing.
I was like, yeah.
Come over here, sweet tart.
Every once in a while,
dander in the kid's
I
face.
shove a cat in the window.
She has 16 ounces of dander. She's rubbing it all over the dog.
No one's actually allergic to dogs. It's just.
Oh my God.
I just keep
She's like-
shoving
you're
cats in
like
windows.
Walter White with the Lily of the Valley. Let's get this kid super sick.
There's a
I
little
want the
girl
fucking
home
dog.
weeping every night, and
I
Sally's
know.
doing tumbles with this new dog.
And I've cared for this dog for probably a year and a half, on and off. And
You
every
will be
time this
mine.
dog leaves, I'm like, I love this dog.
You'll be back. What? Nothing. Nothing.
So she asked me, she's like, before I ask my family and friends, I just want to ask you because I know it'll just have the greatest life, and I feel awful having to give the dog up. We
Yeah.
love the dog so much. Like they had the dog before the baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited about it. I was like, yes.
So they offered you the dog or the baby, and you just took the dog.
Yeah. Well, she does. She's like, do you babysit? I'm like, no, I just I like dogs.
Yeah, those are awesome dogs. I would have given the baby away before the dog.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though. I do feel joy for Sally, except for the fact that in 2 weeks, she's babysitting one of my dogs.
Yes.
And that's
Who
not a
you
joke.
love so much.
Max is going to be super allergic to Hazel in a few weeks.
Max never had hives before.
We've had Hazel for like 2 years. Max never.
See, why is he scratching so much?
I don't know, but if you want her to stay with me,
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
Yeah,
I do, because I love what I do. Like one of my favorite things is when people tell me, like, my dog seems kind of sad when I pick him up.
No, I'm excited for
Well, that's
Hazel.
how we feel when we leave you too.
Yeah, that's true. We
But
give
I
you
love
treats.
golden doodles. Carla and I, a couple years ago, we were at Mystic Seaport. I was telling Sally, and there was this couple, and they were walking around with 3 golden doodle puppies, and the puppies are beautiful. They look like little chicken tenders.
Oh, they're so delicious.
They're so cute.
Like zingers at Miller's.
I fell in love with this thing. I picked one up. First of all, I picked one up and I dropped it, and I thought I was.
What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, no, thing jumped out of my hand. But I go to Carla. I'm like, imagine if we brought one of these home to Juliana. She'd shit herself.
Yeah.
So I go to Carla. I'm like, let's try to, because it turns out these people were walking around trying to sell them, because it's just like you pick one up and they're like, oh, we just so happen to be selling these 3 dogs.
Right.
And I go, well, how much is it? And she goes, well, it depends. Here's my card. Give me a call in a week. I'm like, well, that means it's gonna be super expensive. So they were like $3,500.
Okay.
Like, I'm not getting a $3,500.
No.
Like, if that lady told me it was like $500, maybe even $1,000, I would have been like, all right, I'm taking this thing.
Years
right now.
ago, I think it was like close to 1,000.
Yeah.
But even like that was a great.
Listen.
It's just I really just liked everything about this particular dog.
Now
so.
that you know the formula, we can get the dog for a lot cheaper.
Exactly. Get the kids sick.
I'm sure there'll be one like it very soon.
Well, I'm happy for you, Sally. I can't wait to come over and meet the dog.
So
Yeah.
we are happy for you, but just please don't get anything crazy ideas with Hazel. Please. What about you, Michael? Anything happened this past week since?
A nice weekend. I had some shows this weekend.
Okay.
Friday, I had 2 shows. I had an afternoon show
Okay.
with our friend Rich Walker.
Nice. Good person. Good
good
friend of mine.
person.
One of my mentors.
Him and I were at what we thought was going to be a 55 and over community. It turned out to be an assisted living home.
Oh,
Much different crowd.
much different crowd.
The 55 and over is like kind of my wheelhouse. Like anybody like in their 40s to 60s, that's my demographic. These people, the youngest person there was like 78 years old.
Wow.
And the show it went well. You could tell they don't laugh really.
No.
Most of my
Sometimes they
audiences.
can't
Well, they can't
you.
hear or feel, or
Well,
they're void of emotion.
Exactly. They don't really, but you could tell they're engaged and they're having a good time. Like
Right.
even at one point, this 80-year-old woman raised her hand and she's like, "What do you think about the Will Smith Chris Rock thing?" I'm like, "What? You're 95 years old. How do you?" But
You should have slapped her
and
in the
this is
fucking face.
I would have. I should have, right? Because it was in the middle of my set too. It had nothing to do with.
Just tell her it was a gag. That's all. Part of the act.
So at the end, they're like wheeling these people out, and like the first couple of people, I'm like, "Thank you for coming. I hope you had a nice time." And they don't even look at me. And like I'm like, what happened? Did I offend them?
Right.
And the woman goes, "Oh, don't worry. Those are the people with dementia. They don't even remember that you performed 5 minutes ago."
Oh
No,
my
no.
God, that's your favorite audience.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like,
Most of them
I'm
try.
gonna do this again.
Yeah, most of my audiences try to forget these people, but it was sad to be there. But you could tell they enjoyed it. They don't.
So do you find that performing for a crowd like that, did you find it gratifying just to give some joy to people who don't maybe get so much joy?
I do, because even the entertainment director there, she was like, this is brand new. They've never had a comedy show, and it's like we could tell that the people were excited to be there and they had a good time. Like I've done a lot of stuff. I used to do a lot of shows at a veterans hospital.
Oh, right. That's right. Northport, VA,
Yeah,
right?
Northport and
Yeah.
St. Albans.
Okay.
I remember one time doing a show there, and I see like the nurse is trying to like sneak behind me, but she's trying not to like interrupt me or anything, and she grabs this guy that was in a wheelchair, grabs his wheelchair, and she just whispers to me, "Mr. Frederick soiled himself." I'm like, was I that good? I don't know.
You said, so did Mr. Keegan.
So it's like, those audiences, like they're it's the one joy that they really have, because a lot of them don't even have family to come visit them.
Oh, that's nice. So, now, how do you feel you do? Like, do your jokes hit with these people? Because
I have a set that I do for them. Like, it's like I do some like
You have the old people set.
I have the old people
Well,
set where
I
I
asked
talk
for a
about like,
reason.
my grandparents and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But the key to it is, which I did a little bit of it, but Walker was spot on.
Yes.
They like street jokes.
Right.
They're like, my wife is such a
Right.
ball and
Two
chain.
Jews walking to a bar.
Yeah,
Hey-o!
exactly.
Yeah.
They love that shit. So
Yeah.
once I start doing my material, they're like, we don't care about you.
So the reason why I asked was about 3 or 4 years ago, Walker booked me, Haft, and Monty on a show. It was an outdoor show. This was before COVID. It was at Walker's community where he lives in Deer Park.
Yeah.
And I said, Rich, I don't know if it's going to be older people. Like, I cater to a PTA mom kind of crowd. He's like, oh, no, you'll do great. It's all people our age, whatever.
Yeah.
So I go there. And now, mind you, I'm with Monty and Haft, who are two pros and definitely do well with old timers.
Yeah.
And I look into the audience, and it's all white hair. It's that the whole audience. And I sucked as bad as you
did
could
you really?
Oh my God, it was fucking brutal. Brutal. And Monty was like, oh no, you did great. And I'm like, listen, I performed enough times to know that these people, like, I almost felt like I didn't even want to be telling them the jokes that I was telling them, because they weren't interested in my PTA,
And if
common core
Monty's
shit.
trying to make you feel good,
Right.
then you were bad.
That's exactly
because
right.
he would have loved to make fun of you, and he's like, I
That's
can't
right.
kick him anymore.
And Monty-
he'll just call me and be like, Hirschman just ate his dick at Walker's tennis court.
The truth is, I do not have a set reserved for geriatrics.
Yeah.
I don't tell street jokes. It's all my own stuff.
I do, just because I'm so gun shy now, because the first time I did it went terribly.
Yeah.
And so after that, I'm like, well, I'm probably going to have to do some more of these. So I kind of wrote some stuff that's a little more geared toward the decrepit.
If I,
I didn't mean
if
that.
I decide
got
to
fired
go
for the
back
rest of the year.
into doing stand up more frequently, I might have to add a chunk.
Yeah.
But
it's good. It was 2:00 in the afternoon on a Friday, making a couple $100. You can't.
Yeah.
It's
Well, so here's the funny thing about that. So Walker paid me $80 that night, okay? And then Monty needed a ride back to Governor's because he had a set here that night, okay? So I'm driving back. Monty will never forget this, I'm sure. Driving back from Deer Park, I get off the Southern State. I'm going through the light by MacArthur High School over there.
Yeah.
And I blow through the red light, and the camera goes off.
So it cost you like probably
Yeah,
50
so I
bucks,
wound up losing the money, and
Oh, it sucks.
so it was
Like,
just
those are like $180
yeah,
now.
I lost
What a
I
cheap
lost
fuck
my
Walker
pay.
is, huh?
Yeah, it was terrible. Well, it wasn't a great show, but I'm glad you brought that up because it's going to segue into a geriatric related story that happened to me the other day before we get into Steve Summers. My mom lives locally, and she lives in a 55 and over housing complex, not assisted living or anything, but most of the people that live there usually have like someone in age just who helps them and maybe gives them food or whatever. So I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday after the show, and my mom said, can you bring me some lunch? I know you're going out to lunch. Can you bring me and Savi, that's her aide, bring me some Chinese food? So I go and I pick up food, and I'm pulling in front of the complex because I'm not even going to park because I just want Savi to come out, bring the food in because I have to go back to work. And I guess I appear like an Uber driver or whatever, what's Uber Eats. And I see like 3 doors down, one of the doors opens.
Uber Eats.
And Uber Eats, yeah. And this poor old decrepit thing comes out, and she's got money. So she thinks that I'm her delivery person.
Oh, man.
And I wasn't one of the people that I knew. I mean, my father did ostracize a lot of these people because he'd come outside in his boxers and his tattoos, and if people ever commented, he told him to go fuck himself. So he did ostracize a lot of people. But this one woman comes out, and I didn't really know her, and I don't think she knew me. She says, here's the money, Sonny. She's ready to pay me for the food. And I'm like, no, I'm here to drop off food at 32 over here. And she's like dragging one leg, like one tit is out. She's just like, it's a sad scene, But I said, no, I'm bringing it over here. And she says to me, how's your dad doing? And I said, he's been better. And I went back I gave my mom the food and I left. So so I didn't have the heart that day to break the news to
How's
her.
your dad doing? Do you take the money from her now?
You know what? I was gonna tell her, and then I'm like, why bother? Because if she didn't know by this point, it's been a solid 3.5 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
Why ruin it?
Yeah,
so my career as a Uber Eats driver is officially over. Silly Sally. With that said, we're at 9:15. Are you ready to rock and roll? You tell us.
I will tell you also that I had 2 good shows this weekend.
Yeah.
That night I ended up driving to Jersey. It took me 4.5 hours to get there. I had to drive from West Babylon to Jersey.
Oh.
Did a great show at Lorito Winery. And it was a lot of fun. Next night I did a show for
Mark Hirschman from Gubs Radio.
I did a show for DC Benny, another
Yep.
very funny man. You know DC Benny?
Yes, I do.
One of the funniest people I know. It was in a repurposed church out in Southold. And super fun.
Okay.
So I think we got Steve Summers coming up on the line.
Yes, I think we do. This
have
is
a little
exciting
honey-
for us.
A honey lozenge. So
I need a little honey lozenge
want one?
too. I don't. I'll probably
Okay.
choke on it.
no,
This
felt
is so
my throat getting a
exciting.
little dry, so I had
This
a
is
honey
our,
lozenge.
This is our first. So we've had a Zoom guest before. We've never had a caller guest.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're actually calling the guest.
Yep.
So this is.
We're calling Steve
So
Summers.
it's
I think he gave us the wrong number.
no. We have something. Do we have something? Yeah, we have
All right,
it.
we do have something, so he didn't.
Please don't choke on a honey lozenge during the middle
I
of the
won't. I
show.
just didn't want my throat to get dry because I want to.
DC Benny would be a good candidate for this.
I will give him a call because he's just the coolest guy. He's always been so good to me. And looks like we have him.
We got him.
Mark, take it away.
Are you there, Mr. Schmooze?
I am here.
Hello, sir. So this is your old friend Hersh from Valley Stream. You're on the Hershey and the Keegs show with Silly Sally, our producer, and my partner, the Keegs, next to me. And we, as I told you via email, we are more than excited to have you on. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. We really, really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and very flattering, and here we are.
So first and foremost, most importantly, how is the hawker, your better half? Is she doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing fine, hocking away, and everybody is good. I hope with you guys too.
Everything is good. How have you found, not that it's been that long, but how have you found this transition from working to being home more often? How does Robin feel about it? How do you feel about it?
Well, still making the transition because, 34 years is a very long time, and I'm used to being up at night, and so sleeping or trying to sleep at regular hours is still an issue.
Right.
But I've always been a night owl, even when I was a kid, even when I was in school, doing the homework very late and going to bed very late and so forth and so on. So even though I can get to bed much earlier than before, it still is a little bit different getting to sleep.
That was the thing I was most curious about was your new schedule. If you're starting to go to sleep in the daytime now or nighttime, but I guess you're starting to transition to that.
Well, here's the thing: I have to put the lights on because I don't want the boogeyman to get me in the dark.
Exactly.
So there's going to be a night light somewhere, as long as it doesn't bother my wife, and as long as it is not too bright. And we do have a little night light because if you get up in the middle of the night, you got to go to the bathroom, or you want to catch some kind of a late night snack, or you're just really not all that tired. Mm-hmm. Bottom line is you want to know where to go and not bump into anything. So we do have a nightlight.
Steve, is the door opened for you to make some cameos back at the station, or is that door closed? I mean, give us a little idea about that.
Well, between you and me, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Eddie Scazzeri kind of made it seem like that me and Mark Chernoff and now Ed Coleman and Bob Husler were all members of the Involuntary Retirement Club.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think in my case, after 34 years, I think, and this is how I got started. They can't. I don't think they want to fire anyone. I don't think they wanted to fire me.
Right.
They did offer me midnight to 5 a.m., and that was something that I didn't want to do, and that was something that they knew I didn't want to do. So, in a way, they then want to move on. But as I say, I got started, over more experienced people when I was very young, because when you're young, you're going to pay them to get the opportunity, and you are going to be a lot cheaper than someone with more experience.
Right. So it's kind of like the cycle just goes around, basically, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not just in broadcasting, but in just about any business, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with wanting to get younger and getting cheaper with the cost cutting that's going on, and thank goodness radio has all of these gambling sites,
right?
To generate extra income. Radio, not really the same as it was 34 years ago when I started. Now it can be, so many other ways. Streaming, of course, and you on the palm of your hand,
right?
You can end up listening. So the bottom line is, it's a little bit different medium, but still very popular.
Now, would you consider a different platform similar to, Francesa's back with a podcast weekly, or if another station came knocking? Or are you pretty comfortable with this this new form of life for yourself?
Trying to replace me, Mark? Is that?
I just want to know if Steve would want to come into Governor's Comedy Club and do the show in lieu of you. Yes.
Well, here's the thing. At this point, no. I'm at peace with everything going on, and I'm still watching the games, still very much a Ranger fan, still very much a Metropolitan fan, still a Knick fan, and still root for the Jets. So bottom line is that it's kind of fun watching these teams, and soon with baseball season starting in a couple of days, it's going to be fun to watch these games. I'm going to miss not talking about each game, but at the moment I'm at peace with everything, and maybe down the road, if a podcast opportunity presents itself, we might explore that. But right now, everything's fine.
Well, for now, you're comfortable being a guest on the Herschy and the Keegs show.
Yes.
You will have an open door policy over here if you ever want to come back on. We started this show just about a month and a half ago now.
Yeah, almost 2 months
and
now.
We had Anthony Recker of the Mets on, and we have some other radio and sports personalities coming on. But like I said, we're super excited to have you on. You have a significance in both of our lives. I'm not to date myself, but I'm a few years older than Mike. And I started listening to you back in the late 80s when you started on FAN. And what year was that, Steve? 1988?
1987.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So if you remember, you used to do the overnights, and for a period of time, the Eddie Schizzeri jokes were the thing. Eddie who? Eddie Jockman. Who do you think we're talking?
Yeah, no, Ed Mio. Who do you think?
So
and and Eddie Schizzeri.
Yes.
And of course, he's thriving in the morning and working with Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti. And Eddie and I were thinking along the same lines, and as an engineer, as a producer, I didn't ever have to cue him. We were both on the same page. We both knew how the other was thinking, and it was magic working with Eddie.
You guys definitely had something going, and I'm going to tell you a little quick anecdote if you don't mind. It was probably 89, so I must have been about 18 or 19 years old, and you might remember that sometimes those overnights, those 2, 3 in the mornings, you might not have had the phone lines lit up. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And there was one time I was at my best friend Dave's house in Valley Stream, and I was upstairs on the phone with you. They were downstairs listening, taping taping the call on audio cassette. Okay, that just shows you how long ago it was.
Sure.
We might have been under some herbal influence, so we'll just leave it like that. Okay. And you had actually let me be on with you. I went from one update to the next update. That's how long you kept me on the air this particular time. Okay.
Right.
And you let me come on with a list of about 27 Eddies. Eddie Maple, Eddie Jockman, Eddie Haskell, Eddie Delahousse. I eddied you, and we laughed, and I heard them downstairs cackling. Again, they were under a little bit of the herbal influence. We were kids at the time. But I am going to try to find that. I think it's in my mom's attic somewhere. But if I can find that audio tape of me, you, and the Eddies, I think it is worth gold.
That's great.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of fun to hear and listen to. Again, but working with the Eddie Scazzeri was, as I say, absolute magic, and it was. Well, listen, I was very fortunate that over the years I was working with a lot of people that made me arguably sound a lot better working with them than otherwise. So nobody, whether you're Howard Stern, whether you're the late Don Imus, whether you're Mike, whether you're the Mad Dog, no matter who you are, you really need the help of other people to make you look as good and to make you sound as good as possible. So the Eddie Scazzeri was certainly magical working with him, but I was very, very fortunate over the years to be working with so many talented people.
No question.
Absolutely. And like you were the voice of my, like Mark said, I'm a little bit younger than him, so you were one of the voices of my childhood. I remember driving around in my grandfather's blue Oldsmobile, and he exclusively listened to WFAN. I was sleeping over his house, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, he'd be listening to it in the kitchen, and just listening to you all the time. And
it was very, very comfortable, and as much as anyone might have been listening to me, I was listening to all of these other people. It was a two-way street, and there wasn't anything pretentious about the program. Everybody was going to be welcome, unless you really got out of hand, of course. But for the most part, you were able to make friends during the course of the program. And I did. I made friends with a number of people, and you included. And the bottom line is it just was so very, very comfortable, welcoming, those people taking the time to call.
Yeah, Steve, one of the things that I did as Mike and I have been kind of going over things over the past few days and how he wanted to handle this interview, I was watching some old footage. I obviously watched the footage of when they renamed the break room at WFAN to you. And one thing I've always known about you, and it was reiterated while watching that clip, is that you are, and I actually talked to Kim Jones about this on Sunday. I was on the air with her, and I mentioned this to her. You have always been a man of extreme humility. You do not take compliments well. You do not like the attention focused on you. You were uncomfortable about the FAN quasi-retirement thing. Would you agree to what I'm saying before I go to my next point? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I would, and it's still uncomfortable for me. And of course, the very last week, there was a lot of publicity. New York Post and the New York Daily News and New York Newsday. It makes me feel a little bit self-conscious. Certainly is appreciative. I mean, I'm certainly not going to say that I don't appreciate the kind words, but I was always going to be, and still am, very hard on myself. Always wanted to get better the very, very next day. And here's one thing that I've taken from the 34 years. And people may not remember what you did. People may not remember what you said. But people do remember how you made them feel. And it was, for the most part, not every show was wonderful, not every show, hit home. It's like a batting average. You're not going to bat 1,000 all the time. And but the bottom line was that it was a feel-good kind of program. Whether somebody was alone, somebody was suffering from an illness, somebody had lost a loved one. It was easy to extend empathy or sympathy, and always, if you could, with a little bit of humor. And of course, Sherry Seinfeld, certainly put a feather in the cap with him calling and being a part of the program for a number of years, and even co-hosting, once or twice coming into the station. So it was, you never know if things are going to work. You just hope that if you're honest and sincere about who you are and what you're doing, and with your radio approach and presentation, that it's going to gather an audience and sell some tickets.
Yeah,
so
that
you want to be good, that's for sure, but you also have to be very lucky. And I think I was definitely very, very lucky to have lasted as long as I did.
Well, I don't think it was luck, and certainly at the risk of kind of making you uncomfortable, knowing how humble you are, I'm going to say something that I wanted to say to you that last week, and I never got through on the air. The significance that you left in me, the impact that you made for me, just in my day-to-day life for many, many years, to be very honest with you, is something I can never pay back. And I imagine that I am speaking on behalf of literally thousands of people, where there was a level of comfort knowing that no matter what was going on, even if it was something that wasn't so great, and you turn the air on and you hear Steve Summers talking, everything felt right. And I know this, I don't mean this to sound corny or anything like that, but I really do mean that there was a place of comfort that I found literally since I'm a teenager to the point that I just turned 50 years old, believe it or not. I was listening to you for all these years, and for me, I definitely shed some tears the day that you had stepped down over at WFAN. You had a very big impact on me personally, and this opportunity, if nothing else, I definitely wanted to say thank you for for joining us today, and thank you on behalf of literally thousands for what you gave us all those years, and hopefully will continue to give us.
Well, thank you. That's certainly very, very kind of you, and very, very appreciative. But let me let you know that it works both ways. You were there for me, and you, in the beginning, and others like yourself, gave me a chance, gave me some breath, gave me a life, gave me a career. And I have to thank you as much as you are going to thank me. So I used to say on the air, and I'll say again to you guys now, that it works both ways. And so I have to thank you for giving me the kind of life that I had, 34 years of the best time of my life, because of people like you.
I knew he was going to do this. You're turning around and make it.
I'm crying now though, but like seriously, I'm the same way as Mark. Your voice was a security blanket for me to turn it on, and for so many years, so many memories with my grandfather. And then even the other day, I was listening to Boomer and Geo, and they were talking. No, it was Carter and Roberts. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They were talking about if there were to be a Hall of Fame for WFAN. First, they did mention Imus because he did kind of save the station there, but right away, one of the first names that comes to mind, of course, is Steve Summers. You always...
Well, I was very lucky to be working with a lot of talented people, not only on the other side of the glass, but also on the air there. I was so grateful and very, very fortunate to be a part of the kind of lineup that WFAN used to have, and they're still doing very well. They have some very, very talented people there. Keith McPherson, who took my place, has had me on twice, 3 times now as a guest, which is very flattering and very, very nice. And so I'm rooting for him to do very, very well. And I can't thank you guys enough for giving me the opportunity to have a good conversation with you guys tonight. And I wish you both Godspeed.
Thank you so much. And you did mention Jerry Seinfeld. You guys are getting along now?
I'm not going to, he's the only name I could really drop.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Larry David, Seinfeld, there's so many more.
Yeah, we did have Larry David on one night, and no, they were listening in the very, very beginning of the radio program when WFAN first started, and so I'm not, a part of Seinfeld's inner circle, but we have had over the years a nice radio relationship, and continue to email each other to see how each other is doing. So he's been quite a supporter, but no different than anyone else listening and giving me the chance and the opportunity to do what I so love doing.
Absolutely. We're sitting at Governor's Comedy Club. Jerry's performed here many times. There's actually a story that after the show had ended, he had headlined a weekend here, and in his rider they had to build him his own private bathroom here. So we're sitting right next to we get to use the bathroom that they built for Jerry Seinfeld here. It's so cool. I'm sitting right next
there you go.
Yeah.
We get to use the private Jerry Seinfeld bathroom, which I believe he had built into his rider, like Mike just said, but he never used it, from what I understand.
Never used it, though, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But we have used it. We have used it. We have. Well, Steve, certainly we hope that you have an extremely enjoyable baseball season. Are you feeling that the Mets or Yankees have a better chance? I mean, what's your take on that at this point?
Well, the Mets, with all these injuries already, you get the feeling that their curse is still there, no matter whether it's a Wilpon zoning them or Steve Cohen. Yeah. Although I'm now hearing, of course, that Scherzer may miss only one start, if indeed he misses only that one start. But, I mean, to lose DeGrom for a couple of months and maybe to have an impaired Scherzer and Taiwan Walker, he was experiencing some tweaking today. I mean, it's just, what do you say? But the Mets, I think, if their health can hold out, I think they're going to be contenders for the division. They're in a very, very tough division, and the Yankees, the Yankees will, again, the health has so much to do with their success as well. I think both teams have a pretty good chance of doing well.
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I are both very big Yankee fans, and we talked with Anthony Recker a couple of weeks ago, and we both felt the same way, that the roster construction for the Yankees just doesn't seem it just doesn't seem like it's the perfect roster. They always wind up very right-handed. They wind up with too many DHs.
Yeah,
and their pitching is really not that deep. After Garrett Cole, you really have a lot of question marks, and I personally have been extremely critical of Brian Cashman, as Mike has been, and we don't really understand how it's been 20 years going now that the Yankees have won one World Series with always the highest payroll, one of the top payrolls. Yeah. How does he get the pass like that, Steve?
Yeah, no, I understand, and you have a right to be spoiled, and you have a right, to feel frustrated over their inability to get back to the World Series, let alone win it. Were you guys happy with picking up Donaldson and all that money?
I certainly was. I definitely was. I wanted to see them make a move, and there certainly could have been more moves that they could have made, but I was happy with Donaldson. I like him. He's having a pretty good spring training.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Recker had talked about Donaldson and what he can be as far as an impact in the clubhouse. You remember, Mike. The thing that I'm a little concerned about with Donaldson is if he's going to be hurt like he typically is, how much of an impact is he going to have on the clubhouse if he plays 35 games? He's 36 years old. He's already been injured. So on paper, I like the concept of Donaldson. I'm just concerned that is there going to be enough there out of him health-wise that's going to be able to make an impact both inside the locker room and on the field.
Yeah. I mean, that's a legitimate concern. And my first reaction was, and of course, health has a lot to do with what I'm about to say, but I was wondering, is he going to be able to drive in as many runs as Urshela defensively was saving.
Right.
And again, you need him to produce. And again, you're taking on an awful lot of money, where maybe they could have been spending or taking on some money for some other areas. But don't worry, they'll be competitive. But championship caliber right now, I don't think so. And again, but I think both teams are going to be competitive enough to keep our interest for the entire season. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think the Yankees. I was hoping they'd do a little bit more with one of the best free agent pools we've had in recent history.
Right.
And I was just disappointed with that.
I think one of the breaths of fresh air for the Mets and the Mets fans is that they finally have a manager who could handle himself not only in the locker room but also in a press conference. And obviously, you've dealt with Buck Showalter back in the day when he was in New York. I know you'd spoken to him. He definitely can handle the press. I think the nonsense that happened last year with Lindor and the Squirrels and McNeil. I don't think that's going to happen again.
Right.
So I think on that alone, I really think that the Mets will pick up a few games. Now, obviously, the health is going to be a big factor, but if someone said to me, pick one team that you think is going to go further, as much as I'm not happy about it, I think it's going to be the Mets.
But it's a long season. Yeah. And you're right about Showalter. Finally, the Mets have an adult in the room.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're right about the media. You're right about. And even though he's on the older side, he certainly is going to earn and has already the respect of the team. I think, and I agree with you. A good manager with making some solid decisions and getting some good luck can win some extra games for the team. So I'm glad he's around as well.
Yeah, he's handling that room down in Florida like they're eating out of the palm of his hand, and you can tell from the days when he was a Yankee manager and he was a little bit cantankerous. He really has. He's a 65-year-old man now, obviously, so he now can handle things and be tough in the locker room, but be pleasant with the media. And I think that's really what the most successful Yankee managers and Met managers have always been able to do in New York.
Yeah, that's really half of it. I mean, have a nice approach, a nice presentation, and let the game unfold each and every day. But it's definitely handling the media, and Showalter can do that. That's there are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And he knows the game, and even though he's not of the generation of today's ball player, he can communicate and inspire and generate respect, which he already has. So bottom line is that if you're a Met fan, of course you're happy that Showalter is aboard.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned generating respect, Steve, and I really I can't think of anyone in New York media history that has generated more respect than you. So we'll close off by saying thank you. We are extremely appreciative of this. Thank you for your time. We love that you sound well. We hope to hear more from you in any sort of vein or venue. And again, Mike, would you agree? We can't thank Steve enough.
Yeah, I was blown away when Mark said that you were going to be coming on, and it was so great talking to you and learning.
Well, thank you both for having me on. It means a lot to me, and I wish both of you Godspeed and just the best of everything that you wish for. So I can't thank you enough. An absolute honor and an absolute pleasure to have been on with you two guys.
Thank you, Steve. Stay well, and we'll hopefully talk you down the road, okay?
You got it. Thank you so much.
Okay, buddy. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Captain Midnight, Steve Summers. How awesome was that?
Wow.
That was really cool.
Wow.
What a nice guy.
Damn.
Just
wow. I'm a little speechless right now.
It makes me think, like, why am I behind a microphone? That guy could talk, and he's just got
right.
such...
Yeah. No, I question why you're behind a microphone.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot.
Do, yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I've spoken to Steve so many times over the years, going back. Sally asked me how many times, at least 50, and I said probably a lot more than that, since I was a teenager, and now I'm not a teenager. Yeah. And he always would carry that same type of lovely demeanor and that humble and that non-assuming way.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little choked up even thinking about it, but we got to hear him in all of his splendor right now. I mean, that was Steve epitomized.
Yeah. Dropped some catchphrases.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, so super. Sally, have you heard that voice before? Has that been someone that you're familiar with? No? Okay.
No, but I will tell you that Rich Kleiman said, wow, this was amazing. It was an excellent interview, boys. Very well done.
Yeah, so...
Rich Kleiman, thank you very
Anthony
much.
Delway said it was a great interview. Anthony, sorry, I can't pronounce your name.
Cassiopo?
Yep.
Okay.
Said nice.
Nice.
So, thank you, Anthony Delway, good buddy of mine. Anthony, good buddy of mine. And again, did we mention Kleiman before? We should.
I think we did mention him at the beginning of the show.
So, so you guys know the story we tell every week, but Kleiman is
our very own pig vomit.
He's our own pig vomit, who is still. It's funny. I didn't tell you this, but I think it was like Sunday or Monday. I went on to Kleiman's Twitter page just to see. And I went to his tweets and replies, and it's one like page after another of, hey, Al Roker, can you text me?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. Hey, like it's just it's just him harassing people, and essentially what he's doing for us is he's throwing shit against the wall.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
And that's not how, listen, the truth is the Steve Summers thing happened pretty easily. I mean, basically, we had gotten his email and I reached out to him via email, and Steve remembered me from over the years. Yeah. So there are people that we're getting through hooks and connections and whatnot, but we do have to give credit to Kleiman, who is out there working hard
relentlessly.
But I have to show you though the Twitter. It was just hilarious.
Oh, yeah, check that
like
out.
Just mercilessly just abusing people, and someone
I'm not allowed on Twitter, so I'll check yours out.
Are you? Is that true?
Banned, yeah. No.
Well, we have a Twitter page though, so
my personal page got banned because of that Greta Thunberg thing.
Oh, Jesus! That's like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
3 years ago, that theater is still telling people not to book me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I feel about that whole operation.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you the password as long as you behave, because we cannot afford. We're trying to build something here. We're building an entity, and if you make a comment about a little girl like Greta Thunberg and get us banned, that's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey doesn't appreciate it.
Rich said that he works for you boys.
Thank you very much.
He's a good
Rich.
man. He's a good man.
Yeah, I was really happy to have you guys have that. I feel you both look like kids seeing Mr. Rogers for the first
it's
time.
crazy.
Like I'm happy for you.
He came on in 1987. I was 4 years old.
Right.
And literally, my grandfather, 24 hours a day, had WFAN on.
Yeah, and that's what men do.
Yeah, exactly. My
Yeah,
grandfather
real
was a
man.
man. Yeah.
I certainly didn't want to go over the top, but I really did want him to understand that there was a significance in from him to me as far as how much time that I spent listening to him over the years. I feel the same way about Mike and the Mad Dog and Francesa, who, some of these people are not the same type of human that Steve Summers is. Steve Summers is a top-notch person.
You have a different dynamic with Mike Francesa.
Exactly. My dynamic's different, but the truth is there are thousands of hours that I have spent.
Like, you're not going to call Steve Summers and tell him you're going to slap his butt cheeks.
That's exactly right, and that's what got my Twitter page banned.
Yep,
when I don't. Did you know that I had a Twitter page? This was about a year ago. I was up to when I say a decent amount of followers, I'm talking like, I had 1,000 or something. And I had made a reference to this guy, Mike Francesa, who's another legendary WFAN guy, that I was going to slap his butt cheeks, which was a thing, like a joke that his callers used to make about him. And Twitter flagged it, and then they suspended me, which I thought would be like, a week, a day, whatever. And then I appealed it, and they said, no, we're shutting your account down forever.
I'll never forget you calling into Boomer and Geo right after it happened, plugging your new Twitter page.
I plugged my new Twitter feed because I was hoping to get back some of the people. I lost all those people. Like they don't give you once they lock you out of a Twitter page, like your Thunberg thing or whatever her name is, Thornberg.
I had a couple thousand followers.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, we can't afford that. We are building an entity.
Non-political, I'll be on our page.
Two things that we want to talk about as far as building the entity. Number one, I don't know if you're ready to talk about it, but I think you mentioned it on Facebook that you're going to be doing a comedy special this summer.
Yes.
So let's hear about that a little bit, and we'll talk about it as we go on the next few weeks.
A friend of mine is going to be, he's starting his own record label. So he's going to be recording a couple of comedy. He's going to be producing a couple of comedy specials. He asked me to be the first one that he does.
Wow.
We're going to do it right here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown in the Giggle Room.
Wow.
And yeah, we're going to try to do 2 shows and make a special. It's going to be on my birthday, August 27th. And,
okay.
So we're going to start selling tickets soon. I got to make a flyer up and everything, but I got to work everything out with my buddy.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm ready. I've been doing this 10 years. I guess it's time to do a special.
Yeah.
And, something to sell us some merch after a show and write some
I love the idea. At some point, you had mentioned this not that long ago, but should we consider a Herschy and Keegs show, a comedy special like
Absolutely.
we do here?
I think we should ask our listeners for some feedback if they would be interested in coming. If we produced our own comedy show, we might do a little Herschy and Keegs Q&A podcast before, and then have some comedians come up and tell some jokes.
That's and I guess we would be a couple of the comedians that came up and do some jokes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Sally, have you ever done stand up? Sally, have you ever been up there at all?
No.
No. Mm-mm. Okay, so we're not.
Nope.
But we have to let the people need to meet Sally.
Well, they got to meet Sally. Sally's going to be a big part of it.
The people
I used to be
Sally.
pretty shy about all this stuff, and I just kind of had to get over it over the years.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No,
I've been thrown into situations.
But I'm surprised that you've never. Did Tony take the comedy class here?
He did. Actually, that's what I got him for his birthday.
Nice.
Years ago
Yeah.
now,
And
right?
Tony's
No,
been
just
getting up.
last year.
Oh,
Tony's
wow.
actually got a show this week coming up, right?
He's actually on right now at the Lark.
Oh, wow. That's right. He's on with Neil Rubenstein and some other people there.
And Nick, Jeff Bosey.
Tim.
And Tim Saliani, yeah.
So we'll make sure that Sally meets the people. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about dates and stuff like that. Yeah. The other thing, which I want to hear from the people, Mike and I have been talking about adding some merch to the brand.
Yes.
Maybe similar to that logo that my buddy Steve Lenzovich actually won the logo, the decal. We are thinking about maybe letting you guys have some access to purchasing some sweatshirts and T-shirts and mugs and pens and what else, Michael?
Yeah.
Underpants, yeah, edible underpants.
Yeah.
So, we're really, listen, you guys can tell we're hustling here. We're working hard.
We do it for you, people.
We're doing it for the people. Yeah. That's why we get, we beg you to share and tell your friends and and we want to make this something legit. We want to keep on doing it for a long time, and we enjoy each other, and we enjoy the adulation. Right? We hope that when we do interviews with these people like Steve Summers and Wrecker, and next week who are we scheduled to have on next week? Are we scheduled to have on...
Next week Bales or no?
What is next week's date? April 12th?
12th, yeah.
I have to interrupt you because David Kay said that Sally is outstanding.
Yes,
Sally
David Kay is one of my very closest friends, and he is a very astute and an intelligent person, and he's one of the people that from the beginning has said that your voice is terrific and what you bring to the show is terrific. So
my buddy Frank just messaged me. He's been listening, said fantastic interview.
That's great.
Steven Spragus says the same thing. Great interview, guys.
Steve Spragus is Megan's dad.
Oh yeah,
Steve
really?
Megan's dad. Yeah,
I love that little song she made.
It's so funny.
How cute is
Steve
that?
is a musician. He used to be in a band called Alive and Kickin', which had a #1 song in 1971. Actually, so Steve Spragus is a good friend of mine, and his daughter Meg, who I just saw again tonight, did that song. Really, people they like that song.
The song is great.
They like the song. So we're doing it here. We're really trying to give our the best shot we can.
That's
and
why we ask you to share it. Share it around.
Share. We're not asking for much. Yeah. We're not asking for much. Yeah. We hope to keep on. I mean, listen, as long as Pig Vomit's going to be out there pushing and heckling and harassing people, we'll keep on bringing you the Steve Summers of the world.
Yeah.
We have, I think, Chris Carlin from ESPN next week scheduled,
Nice,
I believe.
Excellent.
I mean, look how
Kim Jones is coming up in May, perhaps.
Look how fancy we are that we don't even know. We're like,
I know, we got-
we're such.
yeah.
Who's it coming on? Brad Pitt? You said?
Oh yeah.
I don't even know.
Will Smith and Chris Rock are going to come work out their differences here.
Right.
For us? Yeah.
Alopecia Smith is coming on. Jada Smith.
What did we say, Mark?
We're gonna give her a noogie when she comes in.
Oh, hey, what happened with your daughter with the banner outside? Did she walk by and see your face?
She. What's funny is today. So you have to realize I have, aside from Max, who is in his own world of video games and pornography, I'm sure at this point, I have two daughters. I have my oldest, Samantha, who's a freshman up in Binghamton, who has, I don't even know if she knows about the show, honestly, at this point. So forget the sign. But Anna, who is by far the easiest personality, when I showed her at 6:45 that morning, she kind of was like, "Oh my fucking god!" But it wasn't malicious. It wasn't anything like that.
You didn't make her like walk up and get pictures with
Yeah,
her?
no,
That'd be cute.
She was cool about it. And then today, as I was dropping her off for the Honor Society induction, she's like, "Oh, like 10 of my friends texted me pictures of it. Like, oh my god, there's your dad."
Oh god.
So
That's cool.
She's a great kid. Not that the other kid isn't, but this kid appreciates me more and her dad's stupidity. So yeah, Stacy saw it for the first time tonight, and she did not. She wasn't horrible about it. Like, I didn't, she's, because I'm a bit much with this show at home, as you can imagine.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit of much about
A little
everything.
of everything, yeah, exactly.
But she was like, no, I think she said it looks good, or I think I said, isn't it too big?
She's like, who's that hot guy on the right? I wish I married him.
Yeah, no, that she was talking about Tony Walker. No, I had said, isn't my sign too big? And she's like, no, it looks good next to Sally's. So yeah, so things are going good.
I'm gonna drive Juliana by here. I wonder what she has to say about
Just
it.
you know
She's
what?
7, so.
Go online one day to get bagels or egg sandwiches or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
notice it, yeah.
Yeah, just be like, like
Yeah,
like
I'm
that.
gonna do that this weekend. That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so if you guys are, I told you guys this last week, if you guys are in the neighborhood, come by the cow, mention our name, and you get a free biscuit. No, that's not true. You get nothing, nothing at all. But yeah, we've gotten some. Have any of your friends seen it yet? Or you don't really have Levittown people.
Yeah, I
as
don't
much
really
as
have
Meadow.
Levittown friends, and nobody comes to see me when I perform here. So
Right.
But,
Yeah, that's frustrating.
yeah.
Now, what's going on for you this weekend? What do you have going on from a comedy standpoint?
This weekend should be fun. Thursday I'm having an endoscopy.
Oh wow! Well, I'm looking forward to Tuesday then.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that.
I can't
But
wait.
Thursday night, I'm supposed to be roasting Terry McNeely.
Oh right,
Yeah,
okay.
So that's Friday night. I mean, so
Friday.
after my endoscopy, I'm gonna go home and rest for a little bit, and then
When are you having that done?
Friday night. Friday morning, I'm having the endoscopy.
Who's going to
Friday-
help you with that?
My dad's gonna be driving me.
Okay.
See, he won't hug you, but he'll certainly
won't-
take
he
care
won't
of
hug
you.
me, but he'll watch
They'll
it.
guide you getting a tube up your ass though.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're getting an endoscopy Friday, and McNeely's getting one Friday night.
And Friday night. Oddly enough, McNeely is getting a colonoscopy like tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Because he just turned 50.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be roasting him on Friday.
Wow.
We're
Great.
doing that. It's his 50th birthday roast at the Red Zone here on Long Island, and then Saturday night I'm at some firehouse. I'm gonna be with John Ziegler Friday.
Okay.
Saturday
Terrific.
night, so.
Good. Perfect.
And then here at the club, got some awesome stuff. Judy Gold is gonna be here Friday
Wow.
this weekend.
Hall of Famer.
And my buddy Mike Burton, very funny Mike Burton.
Love
is gonna
Mike.
be at the brokerage.
Terrific comic.
How about yourself? Anything going on?
No. I mean, I'll be picking up Anna, taking her to dance, and then taking Max to basketball practice, and then fielding about 65 texts from Samantha about how she needs money for Panera up in Binghamton on Sunday. So no.
You gotta make Max get Carlos Gomez over.
You know what? There's got to be. I think there's too much meat on that bone that we've left there as far as
There's
Carlos
so
Gomez
much
is
Carlos
concerned.
Gomez meat.
Yeah. Okay. On that note, Sally, great production as always. Thank you very much, Michael. Great show.
Awesome.
And listen, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Schmoozer.
Thank you, Schmoozer. Thank you, Pig Vomit. We do love you guys. We're going to keep on putting out good content for as long as you'll keep on listening. So hopefully that's for a long time. And have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Yes. Enjoy. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.